On International Volunteers Day, I am absolutely delighted to be talking to probably one of the best known faces on the edge of the hockey pitch in international hockey, Bruce Danbury. Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, very well, very well.
Brilliant. The first thing, I mean, for people, the very, very few people in the hockey world who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are some of the big events that we will have seen you at?
I'm Bruce Danbury. I've been volunteering with England hockey for the last decade or so. Been involved in hockey since I was a little kid, started playing at 8. The last few years with England hockey, I've been involved with lots of field of play management and team liaison roles at various events, lots of English domestic events, and then been lucky enough to go to quite a few international events as well. The last 3 Olympic Games, a couple of Commonwealth Games, World Cups and other bits and pieces. So yeah, mainly around the field of play.
I was going to say, what does that involve? What does your role involve you doing?
So lots of work on the pitch preparation, making sure the watering is done well and on time to optimise the playing surface. Different pitches have different requirements, different climates and temperatures, and all those kind of variables that get added into the mix, as well as the type of turf and the type of watering system that they've got. So lots of thought process goes into the timing of the watering, and then working with people like broadcast and sports presentation to make sure all the athletes are in the right place at the right time, working with the technical officials and the other field of play volunteers and the team liaison volunteers to make sure that everyone's in the right place. So when the whistle goes, we're on time on TV and everyone's in the right place doing the right thing.
So you probably are the world's expert on different pitches around the world then?
I wouldn't say I'm the world's expert. I think there's a lot more intelligent people out there than me when it comes to actually making them and designing them. The guys at Polytan are pretty unique in what they do. But yeah, I've watered a lot of pitches.
Brilliant. Now you've obviously, as I say, you've done 3 Olympic Games. You've been at pitch side on numerous international events, but Tokyo 2020. I mean, that was a very different experience, wasn't it? Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences, both getting there and once you were there?
Yeah, so getting there. Well, I kind of assumed that right up until the last minute I wouldn't get there. Actually, some big decisions made along the way to not have international volunteers, to cut the volunteering numbers down in Japan. As soon as spectators were taken out of the mix, we assumed all the volunteering roles would be very few and far between. But I was lucky enough to be invited along as one of the 3 international volunteers that we had in Tokyo, to help out on a very sports specific part of the delivery of the event. So yeah, we got there. It was quite fraught. There was a lot of paperwork and a lot of testing, and there was a nervousness that there was a typo on one of my certificates at Heathrow, which almost didn't let me out of the country. And then I got to Japan, and there was a bit of an admin gap, and no one knew who I was and why I was there. So I thought I might be getting the plane home, but eventually I got in and then isolated in a hotel, and eventually got to the pitch. And the hockey stadium there was amazing, the best hockey stadium I've ever seen on the planet. It was unbelievable. So yeah, we got there.
And we were talking before the recording, and you were just saying that in terms of both the hockey stadium, but also the atmosphere and the environment and the play and everything else as well, it was pretty out of this world. And it's a shame that there weren't spectators because of that, eh?
Yeah, the stadium was just fantastic. 2 competition pitches. The second pitch was as good as anything I've ever seen, which made the main competition pitch even more spectacular. Easy access in and out of the stadium, huge change rooms for the teams, great facilities. The pitch was fantastic. The watering system was amazing. The floodlighting was good. The seating was fantastic. I was lucky enough to have a quick wander around the seating bowl and take in what would have been the spectator views, and they were magnificent. And then the standard of play delivered by the athletes and the officials was out of this world. It's as good as standard of hockey as I've ever seen. So very lucky and privileged to have been able to be pitch side and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to interview, and obviously we had the Tokyo Hockey Show as well. So I was getting a feeling for what was going on out there. But again, as we were talking about beforehand, you said and this came through to people watching on TV as well, the emotion and the passion of the players. It was slightly heightened, wasn't it? I guess because of the circumstances.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be an athlete at that elite level. the standard that I play hockey is almost a different sport.
Don't put yourself down, Bruce. Don't put yourself down.
But yeah, watching those athletes, whether it's the journey that they've been on through training in isolated environments, the lack of competitive hockey and leagues and world events leading up to the games, but the standards of the levels of emotion shown when people were either knocked out early, especially at the quarterfinal levels, and then the elation of people winning was just seemed to be bigger and more intense than anything I've seen before. It was really quite something. Probably the outlet of everyone not having played hockey for so long, and then the big event being the Olympic Games, the pinnacle of an athlete's career and an official's careers as well. Yeah, it was really quite intense pitch side. Enjoyable, but quite intense.
Yeah, I can imagine. Sort of reflecting back, you've, as I say, you've done 3 Olympic Games. You've worked with a whole heap of different volunteers in different situations. As you reflect back on your experience in this one, I mean, at times I'm guessing it was lonely, but there were also times when probably it was really uplifting as well. So can you just sort of reflect back on both emotions?
Yeah, some of it was really lonely. We were kind of living in a hotel. You had a single room. You ate by yourself behind plastic partitions. You got out the hotel. You jumped on the bus that was there every morning at 6 o'clock, and it took you to the venue. Same bus brought you back with the same people in that same bubbled environment. Everyone on the sports side of the bubble in the stadium was kept separate to everyone else. So press and media were in one area, and sport and athletes were in another. And there were lots of people there, but it felt quite isolated and lonely because you lived in this kind of Groundhog Day environment. On the flip side of that, everyone in Japan made everyone feel unbelievably welcome. I've got to mention Kevin Dempster, who was the tech ops manager who I was working with out there. He was amazing. Everyone from the FIH was super friendly, really helpful. All the other volunteers that I was lucky enough to work with out there were super helpful as well, especially with things like translating signs and pointing me in the right direction for what to eat, when to eat, and what I was eating. They were unbelievably helpful and super friendly. So yeah, the highs were really high and the lows were a bit lonely.
Brilliant. And just, I mean, time's catching up with us. I could talk to you for hours about this, but just sort of for anybody thinking of going into volunteering for events like this or getting involved in their own sport even, what would you say you get from volunteering? What is it that keeps you coming back for more?
It's the people. It's fun, and I'm lucky enough to be involved in a sport that I love, and I get to see the best athletes and the best officials and the best umpires on the planet doing their thing. It's a hugely privileged position. Advice to anyone who wanted to get into it: just do it. Go along to a local club or your national governing body and find out what opportunities are there. Volunteers make events happen. Get involved. Start small and dream big and go for it, because it's unbelievably good fun. You meet some really good people, really passionate people, and if you want to be involved in a sport like I am, you get to see the everything. You get to volunteer at under 8s on a Sunday morning up to Olympic gold medal matches and everything in between. The opportunities are there, so go dig them out, find them, and enjoy it.
Bruce, thank you so much, and good luck with wherever your volunteering takes you next time.
Who knows? Depends when the next lockdown kicks in, if it does.